everyone. Welcome to episode 3. I'm really happy and excited to have Makis on the call, and we're going to talk about Totem Eclipse. First of all, Makis, how are you, my friend?
Hi, Alex. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Glad to see you. Where in the world are you?
I'm now in Greece, in Athens, Greece, and the weather is great, and I love this city. Yeah,
Fantastic. I'm in Florida, but it's not really showing the sunshine state that it's known for. The groundhog was scared of its shadow some time ago and really did predict that we would have a longer winter than expected. But I'm enjoying it nonetheless. Now, everyone, we're really excited to present the comic book series Totem Eclipse. And this is the cover of episode 1, The Perfect Line. And this concept of the perfect line is introduced to us by no one other than the famous geometer Archimedes. So, Mikey, tell us,
indeed.
what is the key aspect of the perfect line?
So the perfect line, it's not the literal meaning of a perfect line, which is the shortest way to go from point A to point B. It's just the shortest connection to anything you want to connect. Whether that is two planets or two movies or two people, you name it.
Yeah. So two things might be considered separate and independent, but there is a connection. And sometimes we might not see the connection because the line isn't perfect. There's too many twists and turns on that pathway to go from one spot to the next. But if we had a perfect line, an ideal line, as Archimedes shows us, those ideals would be able to shine through and we'd see them, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Awesome. So that was an inspiration that we had. And what was the most inspiring moment that you remember during the idea phase?
Probably was the way everything started, and that was our discussions in the great city of Glasgow, in Edinburgh, in Scotland. Sorry.
Yeah, so they're in Scotland, they're in Glasgow. What was one of the key aspects? I remember for us, the breweries in the East End of Glasgow were really important. What did you find to be important?
Uh, Actually, it was the walks that we had during the discovery of our idea down the River Clyde,
The River Clyde.
on the River Clyde, yes, on these kind of rainy and extremely windy days in Glasgow, which was like the darkness that we were in, and we were so desperate to find the exact opposite of it,
Yes,
which was the
the
light.
light. Yes, it made us appreciate the light. You know, sometimes you need
Exactly.
an
Yeah.
overdose of one thing to appreciate the elements that you take for granted, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we had some boosters along the line to help us get to that connection. It is a connection through darkness and light, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Which were obviously, the kind of brewery we went past by every single night. We were heading to the River Clyde, the
Yes.
Tenants Brewery.
And the St.
Uh,
Mungus as well. Those two
yes, yeah,
breweries right next to each other
yeah,
were
yeah,
fantastic.
exactly. Yes,
Those were
I keep
amazing.
forgetting that. Yes, of course. And of course, the nights we spent in Eden's apartments drinking the most famous of all, drinks in UK and mostly in Scotland, Backfast.
Infamous, we could say, not just famous, but infamous.
Infamous, yes.
So yes,
Indeed.
that was the key aspect here for the perfect line in episode 1. And episode 1 really helps us come into episode 2, which is layers of perception. So layers of perception takes us deep into the dream world, doesn't it, Mikey's?
That's exactly it. Yes, it introduces actually to this dream world and help us interpret our dreams in a way where not interpret, but maybe live our dreams
Mm,
in a more vivid way than we would think of as a dream. Like, for example, when you're dreaming something, it's not real. But in our story, sometimes the unreal becomes quite real,
Yeah.
frankly.
How can they
Yeah,
not be real? How can anything not be real, correct?
that's correct, because all comes from your subconscious,
Which is still a
and
part of you.
it's still part of you. Exactly. Yeah,
Yep. And we need that perfect line to get there, do we not?
of course we do. Of course we do.
Archimedes helps us make that bridge. Amazing.
Yes.
So then here, episode 3, we have Ascension of Association.
Right.
So this was an amazing story being told, and I think it really delves and takes on the key aspects of the dreams from episode number 2 and brings them a little bit more to the forefront, makes them a little bit more real than what we unfortunately can forget to appreciate. How some things that we think about have to be real to some degree. How can they not be? Correct?
In a way, it's how they are associated to the real world.
Hmm.
Was the kind of concept of episode 3, to
Yeah.
find that connection
And the thing
from
is,
the
the
dream world.
ascension is so important because the connections can sometimes seem like a weight. Sometimes connections can seem like an extra thing to think about, and you have enough complexity in your world. Why would you want to have more things to think about? But here we're talking about associations that bring you up rather than bring you down, right?
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
That's the key
Yes.
aspect. Awesome. So then we have episode 4, Shadow
Oh.
Secrets. So in here we have a discovery of the pre-Socratic philosopher Empedocles, which talks about how everything is alive in a fantastic manner. And we can see how everything is alive with these associations between our subconscious and our ideas, and we can bring them out to the forefront and live with them, right?
Yes. Exactly. And I may add, nothing ever dies.
Nothing
In
ever
sort of
dies.
way, in a sort of way, we move on. Either our minds, our souls, something keeps moving on.
Mm.
Not
The
or
ideals
not
that we
everything
rely
dies. Yeah.
on, the
Like
ideals,
the ideals as well. Yes,
the
my friend.
ideals never die. They cannot. It's impossible.
Yep. Archimedes never dies, right? He's
Ever.
there. He's
He
in
is
our
there.
books.
Exactly. He's everywhere.
He's alive. We made him alive, right?
Yeah, actually, I think we just tapped into one aspect of his persona that still persists.
Yep.
So
Shadow
this was a
secrets.
very uh important episode here for the progression of the story because it goes from Glasgow and takes us to the capital of Scotland, and
And Debra. Yeah.
it builds up these ideas. And although we're not there yet, one of the key things is that it'll take us there in the next episode, but it does set the ground for a need for change. So one of the key things about the river is that there's always change. We as humans, we have to change no matter what. And one of the key things is that the shadow can hold some secrets and that these sometimes need to have some light shed upon them. Do they not?
They do excel. Exactly. Yes. They do have to set some light upon them. Yes. To make them visible in a way. Not a real way, but in a kind of sense,
Yeah.
visible.
These shadows are just the areas we avoid peering into and looking into and investigating further, aren't they?
Or I may add, we may are afraid to investigate and look, right?
Yeah. Fear is
It's
always a
we're
factor.
afraid. Yes, exactly. We're afraid of the darkness where the shadows live,
Yeah. We're afraid of the unknown.
the unknown. Yeah, or what we cannot see, really.
Yeah. And it's always important to peer into those areas, especially when we're confused, right?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And we couldn't have chosen a better capital, let's say, the
Mm,
capital of darkness, to investigate that, right?
exactly. And that brings us to episode 6, the last episode of the series of a volume, which is absolute relative confrontation. And why? In our dream world, we have these different ideas how everything is connected, but that does not mean that it comes without friction. and it doesn't mean that it comes without confrontation. So here we delve onto the most key aspect of confrontation, which is the absolute and the relative. It could even be a
Yep.
greater confrontation than that between light and darkness. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. Or in our situation is the real confrontation of the normal Alex and Makis who live their normal lives in Glasgow or where they are now, confronting the perfect selves of Alex and Makis.
Which have to exist. There is a perfect version of everyone, an
Yes,
ideal version of everyone
an ideal.
out there
Yes.
somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic. So here in the confrontation between the absolute and the relative, do you think that between the absolute and between the relative, that there can be any stability, or that this tumbleweed, this oscillating system, this decoupled association will ever stop turning?
It cannot never stop
Can
turning.
never stop.
It can never stop turning.
Can never stop turning.
Everything, yeah, goes around and keeps moving every single day. There's a
Yes.
never-ending thing to it. Yeah.
It seems to be that two ideals on different areas of the line that everything is connected to on one side or the next will
Yep.
be part of this oscillation. And that really connects to the ideals of the Acropolis and how they can produce these ideals do have separate columns, and each has their part for the whole, say, roof and support structure there. So that although both work together to support us, there is that confrontation that we may just take for granted.
Indeed, my friend. Yes.
So everyone, this was a basic intro into the concepts that underlie Totem Eclipse. I hope you've enjoyed what you've heard so far. And Mikey, I hope to have you on the show again sometime in the future, sometime soon, and get to hear your ideas and ideals about the things that are happening in our world and what we have in front of us in the future that is untold.
I'm looking forward to it, my friend. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Amazing. Have a good time and talk to you again. Bye bye, everyone, and look forward to seeing you again on the next episode.